The Metal Mentality podcast is brought to you in partnership with AM300 and the Phoenix Project. For more information on both, check out am300.com/metal. I felt alone, like I was trapped in a cold, dark room.
I will be the last to fall.
It seemed as if I felt a ray of light.
I won't shed a tear for them to
In
see.
a world overwhelmed by darkness, how does one move into the light?
I won't have your name to call.
And it gave me the strength to break free.
I will be the last to fall.
Hell has lost its power. Be metal and stay metal with consistency, continually choosing to make choices for a better future. Fortitude, having courage while overcoming obstacles. Grit, perseverance of effort combined with passion while working towards being better today than you were yesterday.
Once I broke free, I never intended on going back. But I had made a promise that if I ever found my way out, I would return and fight to liberate those still trapped inside. You are not alone. Rest assured, I will be the last to give up.
These are metal-minded individuals, and these are their stories. You're listening to the Metal Mentality Podcast. Now, here's your host, Preston Ewell.
Welcome to Metal Mentality. This new intro, I got to give a huge shout out to my producer, Ammon Carter, for creating this just epic, incredibly awesome, powerful, inspiring show introduction that every time I listen to it, I just get pumped up. And I am so excited today to introduce to you just a guy that just wants to help people heal by using the outdoors and nature. And if you know me, I'm big on being outdoors. I love being outside. I love camping. I love fishing. I love hunting. I love spending my time outside. This guy gets paid to do that, and he works with disabled people and veterans with disabilities. Today, I'm joined with Steve Arago. Steve, how are you, man?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. I hope I said your name right, last name right. Did I say that right?
Aragon. Yeah, either one works.
All right, we'll go with that. Everybody gets my last name wrong, too, so I want to make sure that I do my best to try to get that right. Steve, so I want to get right into this. Let's just jump right into this right now, not waste any time. If you had the opportunity to know the truth about one of these two things, which would you choose? Bigfoot or extraterrestrial aliens?
I'd say Bigfoot, because extraterrestrial aliens for me, I almost don't want to know, because I think it'd be something amazing if we were the only ones out here. I mean, that would make us even more special. So holding on to that fact that we could be the only ones here and this place is so special just for us, the whole universe, I think that's amazing. So yeah, Bigfoot, that's cool if we find out. Great. Yeah.
Do you think Bigfoot's real? You think there's any credence to that at all, or is that just more?
I'm a huge biology guy. I just go kind of off the evidence that I see, which is, okay, if there's only that minimal amount of species, individuals there, like they got to mate to keep producing, keep living. And I just don't see that. I really don't think that's there. Maybe something weird, but probably not a Bigfoot.
We'll talk offline later, and I'll tell you my theory on it. No, I'm just joking, man. Just a little bit of an icebreaker there. But Steve, why don't you? So you are a recreational therapist for the National Sports Center for the Disabled, or the NSCD. Tell us a little bit about what you do, because you can say it better than I can, because I'm not you. I don't do it. I'm super jealous of the job that you have. Like right now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might looking like, it looks like this dude lives in an attic, but you actually are building a cabin. And it came like perfect timing for the whole COVID thing. And you're like 5 hours away from civilization, major in Winter Park, Colorado, and up in the woods, connected by a satellite internet connection. And that's why you might notice like the internet's a little bit lagging, and that's cool. We can do this. But tell us a little bit about what your passions are and what you do for the NSCD and what got you there.
Great. Yeah. So like you said, Preston, I'm a recreational therapist, striving to be a certified recreational therapist, and working over at the National Sports Center for the Disabled. So yeah, kind of perfect timing with where I'm at now in the cabin. So I can do my work right now remotely. It's pretty new, and I have been working with some veterans over that, and so that allows me to get out here and just come up with various things. Right now, we're really we're really trying to get anything we can and get participants in with us. But before this, we had a really good turnout with some of the camps we did with our veterans. We take them out skiing for 3 days. You know, we host them up with the partner organization, the YMCA Snow Mountain Ranch of the Rockies, which is out there near Winter Park. And we just have a great time. You know, I welcome any veteran with a disability there. And first off, it could be someone who snowboarded or skied before or has never done that before. And also anybody who may have a physical ailment that they may not be able to ski or snowboard. So we have some sit skis available. We have, which are mono skis and bi skis and various other adaptive equipment that are just in our big assortment in our warehouse. So yeah, they come in not really knowing what to expect, but after those 3 days, it's just a huge uplift for everybody. You know, we're in this big cabin where we just share stories at night. You know, I welcome some of the community members to come in, share their experiences, just integrate, build that community interaction with our veterans. And so far, it's worked out really good. You know, we had big plans to do some more in March, but unfortunately, things got canceled. And we're trying to push for some in the summer, late August. It's just kind of up in the air now. We'll do it again eventually, you know. So we have a program to build upon, and we want to make it just as big as we can, really. The more the merrier, and anybody who's willing to come in and help out, it's going to be great.
I think it's pretty cool that there are people out there, nonprofit organizations out there, that just want to help people be the best version of themselves by whatever means it takes. And there are different groups of people and different organizations that use a whole bunch of everything out there that's out there in the world. And you guys are using connections through people, experiences out in nature, the snow, the mountains, hiking. I mean, I saw you guys have like a river rafting trip coming up in 5 days from now, and I wish I would have seen that, because it totally would have been down for that. I would have reached out to you and be like, hey, bro, hook me up, because I need to go to this. But it's pretty cool you guys are doing that. And so traditionally, I brought on experts onto the show. I brought on people who have really just been through like their own version of hell. And I don't fully know your story or anything about what you've been through, but I think there's one thing that we all have in common, is that we will all suffer at some point in our life. And we will say like, man, I went through hell to get to where I'm at right now. I think that's just universally true, that we're all going to go through our own version of that. And the way out is the same for all of us. But part of the reason why I wanted to bring you on too is that the NSCD is a resource that's available to disabled veterans who are looking to build that team around them and connect with people who are part of that network of that brotherhood or that sisterhood, that family type connection that the veteran community has. And I know you yourself are a veteran, but I wanted to have you on, just to let people know, like, hey, there are people out there who care. Like whatever your disability is, whatever your situation is, like there are resources out there and you're not alone. So tell me a little bit about your military service, what led you to that, and what you learned from it.
Yeah, no problem. So got into the Coast Guard. That was after I got a degree in biology over in Eastern New Mexico University. And ever since I got out of high school, I kind of thought the military would be something cool to get into. Of course, seeing the movie The Guardian kind of helped out along that way, seeing the rescue swimmer and all that.
Kevin Costner was pretty legit in that movie.
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher, that was a good show.
Yeah, towards that last semester. Yep. Towards that last semester of college, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my degree, and I said, heck, military still looks like a good option. Got in as enlisted, and didn't quite know what I was getting into. I said, okay, that rescue swimmer looks cool, but let's see what else there is. And I ended up in Kodiak, Alaska, working at an MWR, which is a Morale Wellbeing Recreation Facility, just managing an auto hobby in Kodiak, Alaska, working in the gym, handing out basketball sometimes, going to the golf course, just doing various things. But the coolest thing wasn't that position I had. It was seeing how the people felt when they came back, just that uplift that they got. So these are, guys who are going out on patrol, and then they come back and, it's Kodiak, Alaska. It can be kind of dreary. They're with their families. But I sent them out on a small 25-foot skiff or something. They go out and catch some salmon, come back, and they're just like really excited just about what they've done, just being out and using the natural resources around them to find that joy and just uplift them again, coming back from that dreary patrol or whatever it is that they went out on. So that really sparked my interest to realizing that, well, recreation can be something that can heal people. I didn't know of recreation therapists at the time then, but that's what it was. It wasn't the documentation that you do as a therapist, but it was still therapy for everybody coming back.
Kodiak, Alaska, isn't that where like the Guardian, that's where they're based out of, wasn't it? Or, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, they did like their training over in the California site, and then where Ashton Kutcher goes and is stationed in Kodiak, Alaska, supposedly the roughest one of them all.
The fact that you want to do that, I find that admirable, because I can swim for about 3 minutes before I drown. And I just have never been a great swimmer. I'm 35 years old, and when I jump in the water, I still plug my nose, because 50% of the time, if I don't plug my nose, I start drowning in knee-deep water if it goes over my head. So that's pretty cool that that was something you were considering doing. And you're talking about the MWR, so it's the Morale Welfare Recreation, right? Tell us a little bit more to those of us who are not in the military.
Recreation, yeah.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. There's so many acronyms in the military, man.
Oh yeah.
There's probably 3 or 4 different ones for MWR. But tell us a little bit more about what their program does. And it's obviously it seems like it was kind of planted a seed in your mind of I kind of want to learn more about this. Tell us a little bit more about that for those of us who aren't in the military.
Yeah, definitely. So any military member has access to these very low cost or no cost facilities that a lot of the big bases have. And I was fortunate to be a part of that. And it wasn't just going and playing in the gym. Like I said, I worked in auto hobbies. So any kind of leisure activity that you might be interested, you could probably find at some of these larger facilities. And some cool things we did was using nature, like I said, to help people, recover or just be a part of a community. We had really cool eco challenges that came up. So basically running across the Kodiak Island in boat, by foot, by bicycle, and it's basically a huge obstacle course or adventure race. It's neat to be a part of something like that, and then just with such a huge shift in temperature seasons in a place like that, you really get to experience it all. And we had a variety of things available for all the military members and their families, plus anybody who's retired, honorable discharge from the military has access to that MWR. We had flights from Kodiak. I think they're called like the Space A flights, or we use the Coast Guard, the C-130s, and you could fly over across to wherever they're going. I had an opportunity to get out to like, I think the middle of the Bering Sea, you know, the Pribilof Islands, and just see the vastness of what Alaska is, and even hopped aboard a cutter and went up to the Arctic. And surprisingly, there's like some interesting recreation going up there. You know, people who are sailing across the world and just doing their own achievements. You know, we met one guy who was going across in a sailboat for his 7th time up in the Arctic. And, you know, that was his own form of getting out and his own form of therapy, really. So I was just surprised to see all the things I did up there, thinking like, oh, Alaska, cool, that's the final, like, last frontier of America, right? But truly, it's a special place. Kind of feel like I left a part of me up there.
I gotta tell you, like, one of my bucket list things to do in this life is to go up to Alaska during the salmon run and catch a bunch of salmon. Like, I hate fish. I hate the taste of them, but I love catching them. I like salmon. My wife's like, oh, you want to have salmon? I'm like, just stop buying that. Like, I'm not eating it. Like, I hate it. I hate salmon. But I live in Utah, right? And I don't know if you know this or not, but we're like thousands of miles away from any coast that's going to have fresh salmon. So I imagine it's kind of like picking a garden tomato versus buying one at the grocery store that's green in January. Like, maybe there's some difference in there, so maybe I will like it. So, man, I'm super jealous of that you got to do all that. That's pretty cool. I need you to hook me up with the MWR in Kodiak, and I'll get on a Space A flight and fly out of Hill Air Force Base here in Utah. So make that happen, will you? I'm just
sure thing. Let me know. I'll go up with you.
Let's do it, man. Well, let's talk about some of the difficult times in your life and how you got through them, because that's what this show is about. The mission of us, the Mental Mentality podcast, is to be a beacon that provides hope and inspiration to those that are suffering, alleviate that suffering, and let the people who are suffering, and the listeners, to know that they're not alone and that there are people out there who care. What has happened in your life? What event or events have happened in your life that has forged your mettle and truly just defined who you are as a person?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. One being the military, and the other being wildland firefighting that I did prior to the military. But with my military experience, it was just after I got out of what they call A school, and I got assigned to a cutter in San Diego. I was then a damage controlman. Didn't get to fulfill that rescue swimmer dream that I had, but anyway, damage control was a close second, and I'm happy I got that rate. So get to the boat, and all of a sudden I'm just bombarded with all these tasks that I need to do. I wasn't in the combat-oriented area like that. A lot of the veterans I work with are in, you know, so it was still a really difficult situation where we're sent down to an engine room and just given all these tasks to do, and it's just miserable, you know. And I think the way I got through it was with my buddies beside me. You know, it's one of the hardest physically and mentally challenging things I did there, just learning everything that we had to do to keep that boat running. But having that person beside me, and still today he's one of my best friends, and we're brothers to each other. You know, we drop everything at a dime and just go help each other out, which is awesome. I didn't expect to have that, and here we are today, you know. So that was really great. I'm so blessed to come out without being a veteran with a disability, but I see what the impact that has on others, and I want to help them. So here I am, you know, I'm in the rec therapy world because that's what I want to do. I can't understand everything that people go through in combat, but, you know, I'll be there for them. And yeah, that's where, after maybe about 14 years kind of figuring out my career path, I know that's where I want to be. And yeah, I talked about the wildland firefighting I've done as well. And that one was probably the most physical, challenging just event I did. I went out with the hotshot crews, and we're just cutting line all day, you know, just making sure we're safe. It's hot out there, but then again, I had my buddy's next to me, and it was one of the hardest situations, but we did it together. And I wouldn't have been able to do that just on my own out there. That was a really great experience. And afterwards you can go and just cruise on back on your roll, back to your home base. And just the times you share during that roll are pretty amazing.
I believe firmly that forming a team and insulating yourself with them when you're going through hard times or suffering or facing an adversity is crucial. And without it, it's nearly impossible to overcome adversity. How did they support you in a way that you didn't expect, but came to realize was necessary?
Before that, I was pretty solitary guy. I think I still am, but
you live in a cabin
just knowing
in the
that
woods.
having, yeah, pretty much. My cousins are visiting now, so I got some company.
I'm just
so
giving
we're
you a
good.
hard time, man.
But yeah, exactly. But just having someone right next to me, didn't have to say anything, didn't have to vent. We often did, but just understanding that, hey, I'm here for you. No words had to be spoken. But I didn't expect that. Like I said, just going through college by myself, getting through that, and then my own decision getting into the military, I was just like, okay, I'll just kind of lay low, get through this, serve my country, and have some good times along the way. But yeah, just that camaraderie that I formed was completely unexpected.
I totally understand what you're saying about serving your country, having your brothers and sisters there beside you, because it's the type of relationship that it is. And so I'm the oldest of 6 kids. All right, so I have 5 younger siblings, and the relationship that I have with some of my buddies that I've served with is on the exact same level as my siblings. I had to say something about this though. I got to call you a coastie, man. You know how it works in the military. We always make fun of each other. One branch is better than another. There's so many jokes there, and I'm like trying to be professional, but I have to just acknowledge the fact that I'm Army, you're Coast Guard. We're on the same team.
Hey, I own it.
But it's like offense versus defense on
me.
a football team, right? No, it's all good,
Exactly.
man. It's just fun to joke about each other. Like we all know Marines eat crayons. And the chair force, don't even get me started on that. You've been in one of their dining facilities, man? They eat like kings and queens, and like we're peasants. It's not even fair.
Oh yeah.
No, and I mean no disrespect by that. Anyone who's willing to put on a uniform and sacrifice their time and put their life on hold or just dedicate themselves to protecting the freedom of other people has got my respect, man. No, the team, having that team around you when you are going through the suck and trying to embrace that. It's a lot easier to embrace that suck and use that as a catalyst to become better and grow when you have people around you. Now, I've been through a lot of crazy times in my military career so far. Basic training at the time was probably the hardest thing I'd ever been through. And I've done a lot of stupid details, like guarding a traffic cone in Maryland in the middle of January when it was 12 degrees out from 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, why am I guarding a traffic cone? Like, you think this traffic cone's going to, this doesn't make any sense to me, right? But when I have my buddies there next to me, it sucks less, right? And it's just, when you do it with someone and you both feel the pain of how bad it sucks, there's somebody there to just like make that burden is just so much less. And I think that's just you, in my personal experience, I'll say this, it's required to overcome adversity. You're not going to make it alone. And you got to have that team.
Definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about suffering or hardship and adversity, and how would you agree with the statement that is a prerequisite for achieving success? You've got to suffer a little bit to have that fortitude developed and that mettle and to be resilient. And how does that make you more resilient?
I don't know if it's a requirement, but I haven't met anybody who hasn't gone through that to make the gains and become resilient. Possible, but not what I've seen. And yeah, we all have something there we got to go through. And like I said, having someone there with you, it helps a lot. And very few of us, I think, could make it through alone. But I would have to agree with you on that statement.
I think the ones of us that quit believe that nobody's going to understand us. Nobody's going to. We're alone. We choose to be isolated because we just think nobody's going to get it. And like you said, like I can't relate to everything that someone who has been in combat has been through. I can't relate to that, but I'm there for you. And I think that I would call that empathy. How is empathy for others, and when others have empathy for you, been beneficial to you in your life?
I mean, it drove me to keep doing what I've been doing today. And me not necessarily knowing the exact words, what to say, what to do at the time, but just letting my human spirit like help others. I've seen that just make waves really in the lives of that person and the lives of other people. So I come into this being pretty scared, pretty vulnerable. And I'm saying, wow, I want to do this, but I don't really know how. And okay, I guess maybe it's empathy that I have for myself, for the career I'm in, for the people I serve. And yeah, I just want to continue to grow with that and see how far I can go. I mean, I've barely gotten started with this career and with my experience in it, but I have some big plans, and I don't think there's a limit to it. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and because I enjoy it and I see what it does for others.
Man, as you're talking about this, I just feel like you've made a choice to be of service to others. And I find that very admirable. And I don't know if have you heard the song "Unbroken" by John Bon Jovi?
I'm sure I've heard along the way.
So when I'm talking about how I see you as just an individual who's chosen to be of service, I'm not talking just about your time serving in the Coast Guard. I'm not just talking about the choice to become a recreational therapist and work with the NSCD and disabled veterans. What I'm talking about is this choice I think you've made to just make yourself an individual who is committed to living a life that is of service. I think that's who you are. That's the vibe that I've gotten from you as we talked before this interview, and as I've gotten to know you even more today. I think you're that's you. And I don't say that lightly, because we need more people like you, man. And when veterans come to these camps that the NSCD is putting on, I think a lot of them come identified as broken. How has helping them realize that they are unbroken impacted your life?
Well, I guess I'll start from, I think it was before the service, before all this, that I wanted to be of service to people. It just kind of happened through high school. My buddies were in trouble. I was the one, putting them in the back of the pickup and sobering them up, or, taking them to the hospital, whatever it is, get them fixed up, get some stitches, whatever it may be. And I just continued that. I saw the Coast Guard as a place where I could be that quote on guardian kind of individual, and it built from there. And that idea of unbroken that you talk about, it really hit me during some of the internships I did, where I was in a place with this person who, before, when something triggered them, they would resort to alcohol or some other situation, something bad for themselves, for the people around them. But being out in that environment, they realized, wait a minute, this isn't Afghanistan in these snowy hills. I have my wife right beside me. I have my phone on me. Well, I'm going to take some pictures of this beautiful scenery around me. And that helped him get through this. And every other time before that, he was hitting the bottle, and I just saw that we aren't tied to going back to those what we're triggered to doing, that gets ingrained in us, those habits that we form, that we think are beneficial to us. And if I can promote that in maybe one other person in my whole career, that's still worth it, So that's my goal, is to somehow show someone that, hey, it doesn't have to be hurting yourself or the people around you, or even strangers. I mean, just use what nature's given us. Everything's there. We just got to figure out how to tap into it. And I think that's my definition of being unbroken. Like I said, using what we have around us. We don't know what the capabilities that nature provides for us till we go and try it, and there's so much out there that we don't know. And the more we do this, the more that this recreation therapy idea and that I fell into gets into the general public, I think the more and more people will benefit from it. And that's my goal, is just, yes, spread it in the veteran community. That's where my passion is, but to everybody, my friends, my family, strangers, just anybody who's interested, or the word recreation therapy sparks interest in, I'm going to tell them what it's all about,
First of all, your demeanor is like the most calming thing I've ever encountered in my entire life. Like, you're like the most mellow dude I've ever met in my entire life. Like, I'm trying to even just get you fired up, but I think it's just not in your nature. Like, you're just like this chill dude, man. And I'm not that way, man. Like, I'm intense. Like, if I do something, I'm 100%, and my volume goes 300%, and they're like, "Hey, turn it down." I'm like, "This is just me being me." So, in a way, I'm kind of envious.
We need a little bit of everybody. So yeah.
But I think a lot of us especially after we get out of the military, we kind of lose our sense of purpose. And we're striving to find where we fit in and how we can continue to be of service, because volunteering to be in the military isn't something to be taken lightly. It's something that it's a commitment that we make. Like, I will die for you, even though I think you're a jerk. There are people I work with that I've served with. I'm like right now, I'm about to punch you in the face, but if the bullets start flying, I'll jump in front of you. And I know they do the same for me, right? So, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but I think your purpose, and I think you understand this, is service.
Definitely. Yeah, that service is huge when it comes to mine. And I appreciate what you said about, not really agreeing with someone next to you or just wanting to punch them out all the time. And I think if we had a little bit more of that, where this guy, I really can't stand him, but when it comes down to it, I'll be there for him. What we've seen in the world today, I don't agree with a lot of things that people are saying or doing, but when it comes down to it, if you're in it for the better of humanity, then I'm right there with you. And I think that can stem from that service that we get in the military, that being next to that person where, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy, but yeah, I'll be there for them. So I hope you spread that as well to your fellow man too. It sounds like you want to, and I think that's a great stance to take. And as far as my core values, I mean, that community that forms, that's, I think, the main reason what got me to where I'm at now is having a community behind me. And I continue to want to give back to my hometown, my community I grew up in, and the ones that I currently live in, because that's my whole thing of gaining experience wherever I go and bringing that knowledge with me and just helping out those who I know are willing to help me out. Because I probably wouldn't be here if I didn't have that help going through high school with my community backing me. It just meant so much to me, and I want to give back to those who may be in trouble, who may not see the light of getting out of that place. There's nothing there for them. There's things everywhere for anybody. But it's great to see other things too. And community strikes a big part in my life, and really just the transformation I've had throughout the years. It was pretty close-minded, and a lot of different things. And the places I've gone, the experiences I've had, have really transformed me as I look back. And I've just noticed that over the past few years of, wow, there are some things I thought and believed that I'm just so glad that I've opened my mind to it. And I think it takes a little bit of being vulnerable, being exposed to different things, and being willing to get out. So, but service, I think that's just kind of ingrained for me from the beginning.
This episode and this show is not about me. It's about the guest. But I want to tell you, I think we're on the same page here. If I'm not being of service, I am not being my authentic self. Are we on the same page in that?
Yeah, I feel I kind of check myself at times sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week, a month. Like, wow, I was in the box at that moment, and it's okay. We all are there, but I think if we realize that sometime in the future, hopefully sooner than later, then we understand like how to become better at service, at whatever values that you have. So, I mean, we're all human. We make mistakes, and we piss some people off at times for sure. And, but yeah, just that reflection is something that I realized, oh, wow, I screwed up, but yet there's a place to grow, and there's a way to do that. And I think that transfers to the people that I serve.
And you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
It's awesome to meet people who just care so much about other people. And I think there's a lot more of us out there, but we let our insecurities get in the way and care too much about what other people think by us showing love and caring about other people. If you were able to remove all of your insecurities and the thoughts that you have that are presented to you as evidence that you can't be authentic, right? If all of that was removed, how powerful do you think you would be? And what do you think you would accomplish?
That's a good question, because, that goes back to, like I said, a week later, remembering those moments when you could have done something or said something. But talking about unbroken, like, you would be set free. I would be set free. I think we all would be. I mean, at first people would take you as like, oh my gosh, what is this guy saying? He's actually saying his real thoughts, his, deepest desires, whatever it is that you have. There is things today that, I wish I would have told my buddies here. Like, but I don't know, maybe it seemed like not the right moment, not the right time, but just being so open about anything that you come across in a day-to-day basis. I'm still working on that for sure. I think most of us are, but yeah, it's like we're wearing our mask all the time, not just during this Corona, but throughout all our days. And the more we unveil that, I think, the more free we become, and the more empowering we are for others to do the same. But thanks for putting that thought in my head. It's the more I get that from others, it's like, just do it, just open yourself up. And that was a big transformation. Not that I do as much as I want, but seeing how much that can be beneficial for us during the time that I was on this path to rec therapy. That's what the big transformation myself is. That's what I saw. And I hope I continue to do it,
Man, I know you're going to. Like, you're not going to quit doing this. You're not. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I have to say this, man. Like, I think if you quit doing this, like, you'll regret it, and you'll find a way to get back into it. There's some people who will spend 40 years in the military and they get out, and 6 months later they're running for public office because they can't live their life and not serve others. That's just who they are. And I don't think we recognize that as we don't value that as a society, that there are some of us out there. And I think there's a lot more of us than we're aware of that just want to help people reach their maximum potential. And I think we need to recognize that There are people, those people. You talk about like we wear masks not just during this COVID crisis, this pandemic that we're in, but we wear this mask that I call it the ego. It's just a bunch of crap that we pile together with junk that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel safe. But I think a lot of us behind that ego, we care deeply about each other. And the reason why I say that is if you feel broken and if you feel hopeless, I want you to know there are people out there who can empathize with you. There are people out there who can relate to what you're going through. Yeah, they're not in your shoes. They don't have your life experience. It's going to be a little bit different, but they understand what it's like to just feel pain and suffer. And they want to help, but maybe it's just their ego is just in the way, or maybe that mask that they're wearing, they're afraid to take it off because they're too worried about what other people think. And I say that because 3 weeks ago, I had a coworker kill himself. I work full time for the National Guard, and we wear a uniform during the week, right? Full time. And I saw him on a Tuesday. I said, "Hey man, how are you doing?" He said, "I'm good, man. I'm good." I didn't know that was going to be the last time that I talked to him. Took his own life. Nobody knew. I can't accept the fact that if he would have known people cared and that people understood and related to him, that he wouldn't have killed himself. I can't accept that if he would have known that he wouldn't be here today. I just maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm gonna wrap up here, but I want to, Steve, if you could share one message with someone who's struggling, who feels hopeless and it feels broken. I gave you 30 seconds. In the next 30 seconds, you could say whatever you wanted to that person that's struggling. What would you say to them?
Start off by just saying, I'm here. We don't have to say anything. You don't have to tell me anything, but I'm here for you. And I'll continue to be here as long as you need. Keep it simple and just do it empathetically. You know, you can feel someone else's tension. You can feel their struggles, and just sharing that pain with them. I think that's the best thing we can do, because I don't have all the words. I'm not a licensed therapist. I don't have that skill, but I'll use the skills I do have.
Amen, man. I can't comprehend what it's like to be blown up by an AED because I've never experienced that, right? Whatever your situation might be, I don't understand what it's like to be in a domestic abuse relationship. I don't understand what it's like to be assaulted and have your right to having dignity robbed of you, whatever the situation might be, man. I don't know. But I'm here. And I know you say you're here too. And I want to plug this for you. And I think we haven't talked about this, but I don't think I'm out of line by saying this. If someone wants to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you, man?
My personal email, Aragon, that's SARAGON 1087 @gmail.com. Yeah, we'll start there. And I mean, I check it all the time, so feel free.
You know, I'm glad we did this, dude, because people who are suffering and struggling and feel broken need to understand there's somebody out there who will validate what they're going through. And I knew you were a good dude before we had this conversation, but it's a beautiful thing to see that there are other people out there willing to help. And man, Mike, I tip my hat to you. I tip my hat to your mission, your personal mission, just to be of service throughout your entire life. You're a remarkable human being. And I just want to acknowledge that. And I want to thank you for coming on the show today and making yourself available as a resource for other people who need help.
Yeah, thank you, Preston. I hope we can regroup and do our veteran camp and have you meet some of our veterans there that go to NSCD in the near future.
Man, I would be so honored to be a part of that, community and make myself available to others in that capacity.
Hey guys, be sure to follow the Metal Mentality Podcast on social media. And as always, if you find value in the show, please leave a review and rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. But more importantly, share this podcast with someone you know who would benefit from the messages from the guests on each episode. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @Metal Mentality.